Hi, and welcome to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. Today, let's talk about being under the radar. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. My name is Kale Houser. Thank you so much for joining me today. Hey, first off, I have to apologize a little bit if my voice sounds a little bit groggy. I have actually spent the last couple days in bed. Have been fairly sick, mainly with that whole sore throat and chest congestion type of stuff, and just kind of saps your energy and makes you want to not do anything but sleep. And that's what I did for the last couple of days. So I'm just now coming out of it and still having that lingering effects of just not using your voice and all that kind of stuff and being lazy for the last couple of days. So thank you for joining me no matter the circumstance. So I got to thinking about this, and I've discussed this a little bit before in past episodes, and a little bit about my nature as not so much an introvert or extrovert, but more I'm an observer by nature. And when you are an observer by nature, you tend to go under the radar because you enjoy observing people, and you don't necessarily get satisfaction from influencing events as much as you do just kind of watching them unfold. Now, that doesn't mean you don't get involved or anything of that nature, but it just means that you tend to, as a not necessarily a rule, but as a habit of, you just kind of go under the radar. Now, how many of you can relate with this in the sense that, you know, when things are getting heated up between two people, you tend to just kind of step back and observe and watch what happens versus getting involved or taking sides, right? Or if you're seeing something happen out in public, you don't necessarily get involved, but you tend to watch, you know, just in case you need to call 911 or call the police or something, right? And we all have these tendencies one way or another. Some people dive right in and they insert themselves. Other people run away, you know, they remove themselves completely. And then the kind of third type of people, which is generally what I fall into, is I stay present, but more in an observant type of a role. So I can, you know, collect data and analyze and then decide my course of action from there. And I would say because of that, I have spent most all of my life under the radar. And I can remember even, you know, from being young in middle school and high school and definitely, you know, through college and stuff, very small circle of friends, if any at all. And then just as I, you know, grew and you know, Liz and I got married and we started our own family, you know, we were very, I guess to ourselves might be a good way of saying it, but as a practice, we were under the radar. We weren't, you know, putting ourselves out there. We weren't, you know, making big waves in any of our circles or anything. We were definitely not the go-to couple of any of our, you know, married groups that we were in throughout the years. And it was just kind of how we lived our lives because, and again, probably, you know, a large part due to me being observant by nature. But then I got to thinking, and especially as I'm expanding my vision and expanding my experiences in the form of, you know, I'm going to these different seminars and becoming a Grant Cardone licensee and doing like Funnel Hacking Live, which I've talked about. You're around these people that are not that. You're around these people that are very much putting themselves out there. They're very much, you know, posting on social media and they're going live and they're doing all these things to make themselves known. And it's so interesting to me because it is such a contradiction to what I have been throughout most of my young and adult life. And as I'm trying to make that transition, i.e. this podcast is one of the things I'm trying to do to get myself known and realizing that, yes, I've got something to offer the marketplace and the industry and specifically in the leadership space. It is a challenge to constantly go against that inner nature of, you know, stepping out and putting yourself out there because it does require a little bit of vulnerability and risk, certainly. But I got to thinking of what have I missed out on throughout my life by being so, but just by being so observant versus putting myself out there and getting involved. And I can say definitely in my military career, I did miss out on a lot because I did see, and it's certainly the case, and it's nothing against those people, but the ones that were present, the ones that got involved were the ones that got the promotions and they got the awards and they got the recognition. And then ultimately they got the positions that led to, you know, further and better promotions and betterment of their career. And that's not to say that's necessarily a bad system or anything, but that's just the way it is. You know, we especially if you're in that leadership role looking for people to recognize and promote and all those things, as the leader, you it's just how that works, is the ones that get involved and the ones that you see repeatedly and you hear from repeatedly, not in a nagging sense, but in a positive sense, those are the ones that come to mind. And those are the ones that when it comes time to promotions, that's who comes to your mind. And those are the ones who get promoted. And I was never that. I showed up, I did my job. I think I did it very well, but I was never one to seek the limelight, to seek that recognition. I was always the one that was kind of pushing others towards that. And it absolutely hurt me in my military career. I can say that hands down. And I'm trying to not let it do so as I move into this new kind of venture with Kale Houser Leadership. But then it creates this dilemma of, what is this dilemma of going unnoticed? This dilemma of, going, whether it be in your church, in your community, your industry, on your softball team, this concept of like, oh, I didn't even know Joe was here. Or, oh, Sally was there last week. Like, I didn't even see her at the softball game. Like, but she was there, right? Like, actually, she batted or she played third base, whatever that is. Because there is this dilemma in this contradiction of, yes, it may be appeasing to you that you kind of showed up and you contributed in the sense that, you played your third base role and did it very well, but nothing like stardom or anything like that. But then also nobody else on the team kind of recognized you were there because you just kind of showed up and you were there, right? And using that analogy. And as leaders, one, you can't be that person if you are the leader, if you are the business owner, if you are the manager of your corporation, of your shop, whatever that is for you. You can't be the one that just kind of shows up and observes. You have to take an active role. You have to take a position that is, I don't want to say in your face, definitely like that, because we're not being confrontational, but it has to be active. It has to be involved. You have to take interest in everyone around you to be that leader, because that's who people want to follow. They want to follow somebody that is involved and they show an active interest in them. And then also, as you are, maybe taking that a step out into your industry, you need to get active in your industry, whether you've got some, trade groups that you belong to, some, trade shows that you go to, or organizations, or, even as far as some like union type things, depending on your industry. Take an active role, figure out how you can get involved. And this may be even just in your local chamber of commerce right there, to become a leader in your community. And I've always wondered, those guys and gals that I see, like, oh, he's the president of some, volunteer organization in your community. Like, how did they get to that point? And it's them just showing up, being present, making their face known, making their name known. Yeah, maybe they do a couple mini presentations throughout the year or something of that nature, but it's really them just showing up and being involved and interested in figuring out what's going on in their community. And this is a fantastic way to get known in your community. Even if you are, maybe you are a full-blown introvert. You're like, man, I do not like talking to people. I do not like people coming up and talking to me and all those types of things. But you have to, at some point, take that step, because you understand your business cannot thrive in obscurity. And that, if probably the number one thing that Grant Cardone teaches outside of all his other money and mindsets thing is like, you cannot live in obscurity. No business can live in obscurity, right? There's a reason that all these companies pay billions and billions of dollars to marketing agencies to get their name out, so that when you're standing at the line to get a drink at the movie theater, it's Coke that you go for, right? It's when you're standing at the grocery store and you're hankering for a bag of chips, it's Doritos that you reach for, because it's been so inundated into your brain, both subconsciously and consciously, through all these campaigns. And I'm not saying, obviously, that I doubt the CEO of Coca-Cola is listening to this, or the CEO of Frito-Lay is listening to this, but that's what you need to be in your community, is that go-to when somebody goes, man, my air conditioner is acting up, I need to get this fixed. And boom, they think of, Jeff Steele's HVAC technicians, or whatever. They think of your name as that go-to company in whatever industry that is. And that could be as your local lawyer, that could be as your real estate attorney, your bank, like all those types of things. You need to position yourself to where you are the number one thought and the go-to of that. And you can't do that while being under the radar. That's actually the complete opposite. And that's what really I'm trying to do. And you can use this as an example, just, with my daily podcasts and my posts and all those things and things that we've got coming down the pipe. that are trying to propel Kale Houser leadership to the forefront of people's mind as they think about business leadership. Because right now, certainly we are not, and I wouldn't expect to be, because we are fairly new to this space, and there are some legit competition that we deal with that deal with different aspects of leadership between the different public figureheads, and we can all name them. But we are very purposely doing things that we are no longer flying under the radar, that we are actually moving to get ourselves known more and more and more in the marketplace. So I wanted to make sure that you, as the leader of your business, stopped flying under the radar. One, it's not serving your company anything. Two, it's not serving your employees anything, because you're not advancing your company and growing your company. And then three, just yourself. Imagine where you would be if you had kind of gotten yourself more and more, a year ago, 2 years ago, 6 months ago, and just maybe started showing up to those events to where you became a named person in your industry for your community. That'd be pretty cool. And just think of how that would affect your business, especially in the long term. Not only with getting new business and new clients, but also as you're looking to hire people. They're like, oh yeah, I want to go work for that guy or that gal or that company, because they are so well known and their reputation is so awesome in our community that they are now the number one go-to for new HVAC technicians in your area. And it just removes a lot of that, as you build your reputation, it removes a lot of that doubt and uncertainty as you're going out and doing these things. So that is my number one encouragement for you today, is figure out and really analyze, what are you doing that may be causing you to be under the radar and not really recognized? And I'm not saying you have to be arrogant and you have to be, out there and just super boisterous and obnoxious or anything like that, but you definitely have to start getting yourself known and making your presence known in a way that is suited to your industry and suited to your community, because certainly not everything's going to work in every community and every industry the same across the board. But that is something, by observing, that you should be well aware of what is working and what's not working for those people that are successful in the industry. So I hope that is helpful for you. Again, I apologize for my voice. Hope it wasn't too gnarly for you to listen to, but I thank you for listening and I appreciate your support. Likes, comments, and subscribes and shares are fantastic. And I'll talk to you soon. Aloha Friday, and have a great weekend. Talk to you soon. Bye.